यानंतर आपल्या नवोदय विद्यालय समितीचे डेप्युटी कमिशनर बी व्यंकटेश्वरन सर यांना मी विनंती करते त्यांनी आपलं मनोगत व्यक्त करावं. जेव्हा आम्ही सरांकडे त्यांना आमंत्रण द्यायला गेलो त्यावेळेला जेव्हा त्यांना आम्ही सांगितलं की मी सगळं अल्युमनाय सगळं ऑर्गनाईज करतात आणि नवसंवाद फाउंडेशन हे आपलं माजी विद्यार्थ्यांचे आहे असोसिएशन आहे, त्यावेळी त्यांना खूप आनंद झाला आणि ते इतके एक्साइट झाले की मी या कार्यक्रमाला नक्की येणारच. खरं तर गेले 2 दिवस ते खूप बिझी होते, तरी पण त्यांनी वेळात वेळ काढून ते आपल्याशी बोलायला इथे आलेले. तर
Well, very good evening to all of you. It's a very pleasant day and pleasant evening. Guests on the dais, I'm extremely glad to see students of Jawaharlal Navodi Vidyalayas from the state of Maharashtra in particular and from other parts of the country of our students gathered here. In fact, I would be glad if I happen to speak in Marathi. I stand on the greatest soil of Shivaji Maharaj. It's a valor for me in the state of Maharashtra and to stand in front of all of you, particularly from the students of Navodaya of Maharashtra state and others, as I said in general. And when I just refer Shivaji Maharaj, and it gives courage. Rage is there in courage. And I also feel that I'm not able to speak to you in Hindi because I'm not quite good at speaking in Hindi because I'm from the state of Tamil Nadu. And therefore, I have no other alternative except to speak in a language which is not my mother tongue, not my father tongue, but is a foreign tongue. Which I really feel very, very bad to speak in a language which is not my father and mother tongue. But it is again unfortunate that my great nation was colonized by this particular country. But for that, I had to speak in English. It's painful for me, but then I have no alternative. Therefore, I speak in English. Pardon me. And I'm also glad when I said about colonizing this country. And today, I feel very proud that the present political leadership has taken this country forward, and the country which looked down upon my motherland is not so today because economically my country is far better than Britain today. Having said this, so far as the language issue is concerned, but then I'm really glad in the sense that at 34 years I lived in Navodaya. You have lived only for 7 years in the campus, but I lived 74 years. I said lived, not existed. Every year I lived my life in Navodaya in the sense that I enjoyed doing everything in Jawaharlal Navodaya Vidyalayas for the past 34 years, barring the 2 years of my stint as controller of examination for a national board, as director evaluation in National Institute of Open Schooling for just for 2 years, just to get to know what's happening in open and distance learning mode in this country. But then I'm back again to Regional Office Pune as a Deputy Commissioner for the past 5 months. And I look after now, for the information all of you, that 73 Jawaharlal Navodaya Vidyalayas under Pune region is working, and we have 34 Navodaya schools in the state of Maharashtra, and we have 34 schools, JNVs in the state of Gujarat, and I have 2 in Goa and 3 UPs. Put together 73 Jawaharlal Navodaya Vidyalayas under Pune region. And I'm also confident to speak to all of you because out 34 Navodaya schools in the state of Maharashtra. I have visited and stayed in 25 JNVs wherever all of you studied. And the day before yesterday, I was in JNV Dhule for regional level. They call it as competition, but I don't call it as competition. And Kala Utsav, a flagship program by the Ministry of Education, was inaugurated yesterday in Dhule, Java Navodaya Vidyalaya, and I was there and had interaction with all the students. I have totally different dimensions of looking at what I expect from all of you from this foundation. Absolutely different dimension of perspective that you will have now from me. Because for the past 35 years we have existed, more than 35 years we have existed in this country. We have our own brand equity today as Jawaharlal Navodaya Vidyalayas. But now, having got wonderful initiative from this place, with this kind of a foundation, exercising all your philanthropic attitude of taking forward some of the initiatives socially for the social cause, particularly for the students of Jawaharlal Navodaya Vidyalayas at present studying in state of Maharashtra, probably in other places, as I listen to some of the alumni from different Jawaharlal Navodaya Vidyalayas. My perspective or understanding of the whole thing today is that the actual requirement of today for the Navodaya students studying in the JNVs, your contemporaries, is totally different. It is not when you studied. I am really glad to see that my students have grown larger than me in all dimensions. What else can be the greatest happiness for a teacher like me? I'm very glad to see, in all dimensions, today we have Navodaya students, the greatest happiness for me, because I started my career as postgraduate teacher in Jawaharlal Navodaya Vidyalaya, right? Straight away from school and college education and the teacher training program, entered into Navodaya Vidyalaya. Probably I also happened to study. Of course, I studied in the local Tamil medium schools up to class 12. I was a dropout, in fact. Right? And then I also happened to do my post-graduation in the college where Abdul Kalamji studied. Therefore, total perspective of understanding the life of a child in a school up to the level, as Ayushji was saying, that what you do ultimately after getting all these things from school is the most important thing. And now, if I divide these 35 years into first 10 years and second 10 years and third 10 years, if you belong to the first decade of Navodaya, things were totally different. I slept under the tree in Navodaya. I taught for Navodaya children under the tree for 2 years in Andhra Pradesh. So first decade of 10 years, we lived a life totally different. Therefore, the proximity, the relationship, the connectivity with the teacher and the student was extremely high. Extremely high. The first 10 years, first decade. Slowly, the second decade of 11 to 20 years, those who studied, we slowly started getting the infrastructure. We started getting dormitories and academic grounds, and all the things slowly were coming into place, including the staff quarters. Therefore, the family of Navodaya staff and the difficulty of the teacher to take care of his own family and to take care of Navodaya children, there was sort of, we were really struggling to understand the difference between job and life, life and job. First 10 years we thought that life is job, job is life. And the second decade, probably I had this kind of an experience that I was finding it very difficult to analyze, understand the basic fundamental thing that life and job and life, because families are inside the campus and quarters for all of us were inside the campus, and when what duty and all kinds of things. So there were times when we had tough time to take care of all of you, the children, in the second decade. And in the third decade, I would club with the present generation that total things have changed. The most difficult job today in this country, I would challenge that to be the principal of Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalaya. If you want to experiment, you can experiment and see it. I worked as principal for 17 years in different Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalayas of Karnataka, Andhra, Kerala, Pondicherry. And as I said, that third decade of children, where we were totally focusing on the result and then your career, how to send you and feed you to the higher institutions, and that too to the premier institution of the country for which we were preparing you. But now, as you come under National Education Policy of 1986, and now I have the toughest task of implementing the National Education Policy of 2020. This is the dimension bifurcation, and it appears to be one and the same, but it is not so. Therefore, I have the biggest challenge where I need the help of all of you, not just to give a scholarship. I agree with that. To an extent, it is required. Some monetary benefit is required for some children, but it is not. It used to be. We have grown. Families have grown. Parents have grown to a larger extent. Out of 80 children, if I take 25 years back, out of 80 children in class 6, and 70 parents would be of a very, unable to survive for food. But today it is not like that. Out of 80 children, if you take a survey and study the data, you would find totally different dimensions. By this I mean, no parent is sending a child today only for want of food to Navodaya. Absolutely no, out of 80. Because they are self-sufficient to an extent. As I said, that out of 80, if you take 70% of the parents are self-sufficient today. Because they send the children to Navodaya, you are the witness for them because you have achieved something. Therefore, they want to take you as a model and send them to Navodaya even today. But it is the biggest challenge today for me, for the past 4 years of data with which I am talking today, as of Pune region, 73 JNVs, that I am finding it very difficult to contain and continue the Navodaya students after 10th class. This is the biggest challenge for me. I am sorry I am openly talking because this is an in-house for me. This is absolutely an in-house discussion for me. Therefore, I can definitely talk. Insider knows the inside story. Nobody else. An insider like me knows exactly what is to be done. Therefore, especially of 73 schools of Pune region now, after class 10, we have issued, as of the day before yesterday, my office staff is sitting in front of me, 2,563 theses have been issued. Now, you have to raise your eyebrows, sharpen your mind, think, then what's happening? You are thinking about certain social responsibility. Good, I'm really glad. If you don't do it, who else will do? This country has done, Navodaya system has done the greatest thing that it can do to you. Therefore, you wanted to give back, but you need to think what is actually required is to be given. So you need to think, sit, analyze, work out, collect the data, let us do some homework, how we can take it forward. It is not just the question of giving coaching classes for children to prepare them to get into premier institution alone that matters today. It is not preparing them for getting into medical education, getting into IIT. Yes, good, it is required. I'm not saying no. Anyway, I don't want to go into the personal sort of a thing now, but then this is one point I thought I should share with all of you, that please share with your friends, and I'm sure, definitely I assure you, based on certain readings and listening to great policy makers, that 21st century, India will be the superpower. Second half of the 20th century, America became the superpower. And you can understand slowly what's happening to us and what we are doing in this country now. We need all those great intellectuals in different fields to come back to the country and do. And I'm sure India is going to be the superpower. And as I said that the different diamond, am I allowed to speak for another 5 minutes? Another dimensions, as I said, is the National Education Policy of 2020 and the implication for school education in this policy document. And as Jawaharlal Navodaya Vidyalayas, 100% funded by the Ministry of Education, what are we supposed to do implementing this policy is the biggest challenge today for the teachers as well. They also do not know. Though we are trying to empower them how to handle today the present requirement. We have Navodaya Leadership Institute, Training Institute, five institutes we have throughout the country, National Leadership Institutes. We are empowering them. But we are finding it very difficult to manage the present children. Wherever I am going, I am spending a lot of time in the dormitory with the children now, and trying to understand their requirement. As I said that, wonderful system even today. I'm not saying anything about it, and I'm very proud to be. The day before yesterday, as I said, I was there in the dormitory in Jamie Dule district, and night after dinner, visit to the dormitory, and all of them were gathering, and then I was talking to them. I said, and how the cleanliness is done in the dormitories. And there was supposed to be girls' dormitory. I was standing outside and talking to these girls, and I was asking them then, how is the dormitory cleanliness? Who is doing, and all. Each one was looking at each other's face. And the house miss was also there, and the house captain, the girl, was also there. And then my precise question was, who is cleaning the toilet and bathroom? And so as the captain was saying that as a punishment, they will, those who get punishment will clean the toilet and bathroom. I was surprised. I was shocked. Then I said, no, it cannot be punishment. In my home, I use the toilet and I clean my toilet. And these 24 children staying in this particular dormitory, and 1:5 is the ratio in which we have built we have every calculations. 1:5 in which we have prepared the toilets and bathrooms, and this is how. And why? What is the problem for you? When you are only using the toilet and bathroom, you should clean. Is there any problem in that? And the civics class teacher is talking about civic sense, dignity of labor, and somebody else has to come and clean the toilet which you are using it. Is it right or wrong? I'm not saying any policy or a rule or circular or anything, but then I wanted to know. Everybody was looking at each other. Then immediately I'll take 1 minute of giving this example. I gave this example, and 15 years back I was traveling from Bangalore to Hyderabad to attend principal conference in the train, and a young girl of 24-25 years age came to the place where I was, and she says, uncle, I wanted to charge my mobile here. There is a charger point here in the train. So, yeah, come on, no problem, please sit. And then she plugged it for charging. And then casually she started talking to me, uncle, where are you going? I said, I'm going to Hyderabad. Then, where are you working? What are you? I said, I'm a principal of Navodaya Vidyalaya. Suddenly she got up from the seat. Then I was also surprised. What happened? Come on, sit down. What happened? Uncle has become sir. Then I started to be a student of Navodaya. And I said, what's wrong with you? No, sir, and come on, tell me about it. No, I just want to know a few things, because you said you are the principal of Navodaya. And I love my husband very much. He's a lovable fellow. I like him very much. And he's a student of Navodaya. I'm just telling you what happened. You've seen the implications. And then I said, come on, what? Just tell me, sir. Principal said, how is it that your system is giving training to the students of Navodaya how to even clean the toilet and bathroom and take care of the house? I was really surprised. And he happened to be a student of South Goa. So I was really stunned, right? See, there you are calculating. It's not just you are getting into premier institutions, your way of life itself, the way in which you are being brought up in our system, if it continues, if you are able to sustain that. We are not able to sustain that, that's what I'm saying. The proximity between the connection between the real relationship between the teacher, student, teacher taught relationship is getting slowly, I don't know what kind of a word I should use it, but I'm sorry. Therefore, I want you to pitch in. These are the places where I want to get into. Of course, I can see the list of activities that you are doing with this foundation. There are 9 activities that you are doing. It's wonderful. I'm not saying plantation or like donation camp and scholarship, helping the children and all that, fine. But there are other areas, and the areas where you are capable of doing, in my understanding, intellectually is money. You can make it. There are so many people today to come forward to give it to Navodaya. The day before yesterday, in the office when you were coming, Manjula and they were coming and talking to me just prior to that. The Tata Motors business leader was there with me and extending for all the Maharashtra state schools, sir, we will sponsor for giving online Saturday and Sunday complete material and coaching for getting into premier institutions. I said, yes, we have agreed. We started this Sunday. Yesterday. So there's no problem of getting now a CSR fund to Navodaya schools. Of course, we are doing it, but the focus has changed completely on giving importance to the infrastructure, illuminating the campus, rather than igniting the minds of the children. Please understand, yes, you are also giving support for providing many kind of physical facilities, right? In my understanding, more the greater physical facilities, the lesser the understanding of meaning of life, right? Anyway, therefore, no, we need that because these children we are trying to feed the children at the international level competition, not going to other country. I am talking about. I want them to challenge the child from Finland, which says that the best education system in the whole world. I wanted my child to compete with the child from the school system of Finland and say that he is far better than him. I want that. I want you there. And now, the national education policy talks about this for our school education. Now, only 5 things I will take out of that. So there are many things that I can speak, and then where you can really pitch in and help today. Now we are talking about creative thinking. Now the teachers are not able to handle this. I go to the class even today, and I'm not degrading anybody, right? If I have to go to class and today and teach, I need 2 hours to prepare for 40 minutes of class, which is not. Otherwise, it's not possible to talk about creativity. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much for calling me. And